So, hi, and welcome to those of you who are watching the replay. This is session 2 of the lockdown sessions, and I am so excited to be sharing this time and this practice with you. So, today's practice is going to be a bit longer. I'm thinking probably like 25 minutes in total. And it is going to be, I think, one of the more intense practices that we're going to be going through together. Okay, so just so you know, but I'm also like really excited to be doing this because these lockdown sessions are really meant to help us shift some of the stuck energy within our emotional and physical and mental bodies. Okay, so this is something that in society we are not really taught. And so many of us just walk around not really knowing what to do when things feel really intense. And it's one of the reasons why we have a society where lots of people just automatically go towards numbing out when their emotions start to feel intense, right? And the thing is, especially right now, things are intense on a collective level, and we do feel that. It's not like you're not affected even when you're isolated within your rooms and you don't really speak to anyone, you don't really know anyone maybe who is directly affected by financial problems or job loss or homelessness, or who is actually symptomatic, has the symptoms of this virus. Even when everything still seems to be going okay for you, you're still going to be feeling the intensity of what is happening. And for many of us, myself included, things are getting more personal. Okay, so when that happens, automatically your body is going to start to go into even more like intensity, right? So we need to be able to allow our bodies to release all of that. It's like if you don't really do this, what happens is it's like a volcano that just starts to, it's pent up energy within your body, and it's really just starting to bubble and it cannot release because maybe you don't have the tools right now to assist your body in releasing all of this intensity. So and it really needs to be let go of, because when you do that, what happens is things calm down for you, and you're able to come and be present in your life and what is happening both in the world and for yourself. You're able to come from a much more serene kind of place, right? Things will feel more manageable, things will feel more like serene still. And that means that if you have responsibilities, for instance, as a parent, or you're still working, you are going to be able to hold much better space both for yourself and for the people in your life. And I think that is something that is really important, especially if we're living through lockdown with family members, or if you're working through lockdown and are in contact with a lot of people who carry a lot of fear and anxiety. So being able to be coming from a much more serene and grounded and centered kind of place, which is not the same as not being affected. Okay, we are still affected, we are still moving through this and living through this with everyone else. It's just that we're using tools to be able to bring our bodies back to a more centered space, which then means that we can be more like the eye in the center of the storm. And that is so soothing and calming for other people as well. Okay, so the intention of the lockdown sessions is really to help you maybe use your practices more if you already have some practices to bring yourself back to center and to self-soothe, to release anxiety and grief. And if you don't have any practices yet, this is This is the ideal time to start to just play with some of these, experiment with some of the things that we'll be walking through together in these next sessions. So today, like I said, is probably going to be a bit more intense, because we're actually not just going to soothe the body. We're going to go and work with our emotions directly, okay? Because that is really the only way to give our bodies really release, okay? So the technique that I'm going to share with you today is called tapping, or EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And I love those words. It really describes exactly what is happening for us when we use this. So the way that this works is I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to go quite slow. So you're going to, when I say something, you're going to have the time to repeat that after me. Now, a couple of things are important about this, okay? First of all, I'm not a certified EFT practitioner. I don't teach this. I just use this for myself. I really love this technique. It really is one of the most powerful ways that I know of working with very intense emotions and giving them a release. So that is why I'm sharing this as part of the lockdown session practices with you. Also, there are so many people online who are able to walk you through a very more professional approach to this, okay? So if you're interested in finding out more about that, if you search on YouTube, or even I think here on Instagram and on Facebook, you'll definitely find videos of people walking you through this. So if you want more, you'll be able to find that, okay? Another thing that I want to say is that because it is intense, don't be surprised if there's a lot of emotion that comes up for you as we do this, okay? And that is actually what we're wanting to do. We're wanting to bring emotions to the surface instead of trying to stuff them down and seeking ways to numb them out, maybe with alcohol or binge watching television, or just doing lots of things that stuff things down and don't allow them to really come up to be released. So we're really looking to give them an outlet. So when you're tapping, sometimes you just will start crying, and that's okay. It's not something to be scared about. Usually what I have found for myself when I do tapping and intense emotion comes up, it usually goes through quite quickly, like 1, 2, 3 minutes, and it's all moved through my bodies, and I'm in that space of release and groundedness and centeredness, okay? So don't let the emotions scare you. What also can happen is that with certain words that we're using, you might actually start to feel like you're wanting to vomit. It's so intense that your body's like wanting to vomit, okay? I don't know anyone who has ever actually had to physically vomit. It's just that sensation within your body. Again, it is something that releases quite quickly. So don't let it scare you. That being said, you are the person inhabiting your body. So that means you are the person who knows what is needed. If throughout this practice you feel like you need to take a break and maybe just do some breathing before you can continue, then that is what you need to do, okay? Just listen to yourself, because your body knows what is needed, okay? This is kind of the wisdom, I would say, that runs through everything that I share with people. Is like, you know so much already. You have so much wisdom already within you, and you know what you need. So just learn to listen to that and act on what you feel is needed. And then the final thing that I want to share before we start is when I say certain words, they may not really resonate for you. So just always go with the words that you feel you need to speak, okay? Again, you know what is needed, use the words that you feel you want to speak, and then use that within the tapping. Okay, so that being said, let's start. So I'm just going to settle in so I can really show you what we're going to be doing. So to start, just get settled in your space and then maybe take a couple of breaths just to bring yourself back to yourself. Hi Polo. We're just going to get started with the actual practice for today, so feel free to join me or just watch and go back to the start of the video if you want to. So to start, let's really just get centered, settled into your space, get into a comfortable position, because like I said, this is going to be quite intense, and this is going to be quite intense, so you really want to be centered within yourself and conscious of what you're feeling within your body, okay? So to start, what I would like to ask you to do is to really tune in to what has been happening for you these past weeks, okay? How have things been feeling? And really allow yourself to tune into the intensity of things, okay? So Paula, if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, type into the comment box and share just some of the things, the words that to describe how you have been feeling, okay? And then we can use them in the tapping. So for me, for instance, when I tune into how things have been feeling, and when I allow myself to really feel what it has felt like all of the intensity, it's like deep grief, right? I can feel all of my body, everything. It's like this intense feeling of anxiety, and I feel that in my gut. I feel so much sadness in my body. And when I tune into these feelings, I can feel the intensity, because again, like there's a bit of constriction in my throat. I feel the grief, I feel the sadness, I feel just how hard it has been on my emotional body and on my physical body. I can feel like there's so much within my physical body that has been like really been stored within my body, tension and grief and things that I haven't really allowed myself to acknowledge or speak to anyone. So all of that is really still sitting within my body and being held within my body, and it does really feel very intense. It doesn't feel very, pleasant to tune into this. Other things that I have been feeling is like worry. I feel really worried about some of the, news that we've been receiving from people within our closer circles. So one of the things that has been happening as well is, I think this is something that a lot of you will be able to relate to. At first, it was quite far away, and now it's really starting to move more and more and more into our personal lives and our closer circles. And so, it gets more intense as we go. It gets closer, it gets more personal. And so the grief that we feel, the worry that we feel, the anxiety that we feel, the fear that we feel, it starts to become more intense because it starts to become more personal. So really allow yourself to just feel that and just be with that, okay? See what is happening in your body, see what you're carrying in your body. Just really look at that and acknowledge that, okay? Because that is what we're going to be working with. So for me, as we do the round of tapping, I'm going to be tuning into anxiety, worry, fear. There's guilt and shame as well. There's anger, there's helplessness, there's a bit of hopelessness. So those are all words that I can use to describe what is happening for me in this situation right now. Things that have been stored within my body that I haven't really been looking at, acknowledging, speaking about, and sharing, right? So we're going to start doing tapping. So the way that this works is I'm going to show you what we're doing. I'm going to speak some words, and then I want you to do the same thing and repeat out loud after me. And like I said, if some of the words don't work for you, replace them with what is happening for you. Okay, we really want to release what is happening for you within your body, so you will have to speak about these things. Okay, so we start tapping here. So just use 2 fingers and you start tapping right here. Even though I have so many feelings within my body that I haven't been talking about, that I haven't been wanting to share, even with myself. Even though things really feel very scary and actually really, really, really intense. And I really don't want to even look at this. Even though I feel my body going into resistance, and I'm starting to feel dizzy and nauseous. Even just doing this, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have been feeling so much fear, and I'm really feeling so much anxiety about what is going to happen to the world, to the people I love, maybe even to myself. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel shame because I know so many people are having such a hard time right now. And I feel like I'm still doing quite okay. And that makes me feel anxious too. Because I'm scared for what the future may bring. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm scared for some of the people that I know who have been dealing with direct effects from the situation, whether it is health-wise or financially or within their families or within their careers. And I feel helpless I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel so much fear and I feel so much grief and sadness about what is happening in the world right now. And I often feel like there is nothing we really are able to do. And there is a feeling of hopelessness and helplessness in the world. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Yeah. So just do a bit of breathing now as you continue to tap. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to close down this process, okay? But I want to share a couple of things with you about this. So first of all, tapping like we do here is really meant to bring to the surface things that you haven't even talked about with yourself, that you haven't acknowledged for yourself. And as you can see, it brings up quite a bit of stuff, and we need to be very mindful of what we're feeling. We need to really breathe through that, okay? And then one of the ways that you can really use this is throughout your days. Whenever, one of the ways that I personally like to use this, and you have to really play with this and experiment with this and see what is needed for you. Oh yeah, that happens sometimes. So I don't really understand why sometimes you're able to join the chat and sometimes you're just not able to text. So sometimes it's just connections that are unstable with the live stream. So anything that you want to share about this, Polo, feel free to send it to me in a private message on Instagram, and I'm absolutely going to come back to that later today. I do have some things that I have to tend to with the kids after this, but I will come back to anything. Yeah, I will come back to anything that you send me, either as a comment to this live stream or in a DM to me directly on Instagram. I'll come back to that later today, okay? Anything that you want to share about this or ask about this particular practice, right? So, but to wrap this up, so you have to kind of play with this. If this is new to you, or if you know this practice of EFT and you just haven't really been using it at this moment, I would invite you to kind of see it as something that you have in your toolbox and that you can use throughout the day, okay? So I often do this when I'm walking through the house and I've heard something or it's just something that I'm feeling for myself. I feel like it's intense, it feels tense, it feels like anxious, I feel some fear, I feel some like desperation, I feel some guilt, some shame, like all of that. I feel anger. I also feel anger about the situation as well. So all of these things, feel free to start just doing this, okay? And you don't even have to use the different tapping points. You just can do this and just speak out loud, like, okay, even though, and then you use words to explain to yourself what you're feeling, what it feels like. And then you also always end saying like, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, okay? This is really a practice that you're using to acknowledge to yourself what is happening, so that it doesn't get stored within your body. You let it be spoken out loud. You let it be acknowledged. And like Paula says, when you do this afterwards, you actually feel lighter. I'm so glad that you shared that. Thank you for sharing that. So yeah, that is why I wanted to share this practice with you, because this series, the lockdown sessions, is really about self-soothing, about holding space for ourselves, and about helping ourselves move through this and release. And EFT is definitely one of the more intense and often uncomfortable feeling practices. Okay, it does feel intense because we are moving through all of the icky stuff, right? Like the shitty stuff that we're feeling. But afterwards, because we've spoken it out loud, because we've used the tapping, our physical body, to really move through this, it is like a release, and it feels lighter. Yeah, it is. It is a sort of hypnotherapy. It is. It works with the meridian points in our body, actually. So I'm not going to go into the whole detail about what tapping does with your body. If you're new to this and you want to learn more, just go to YouTube. There's actually someone called Brad Yates, who is he's been doing this for years and years, and he's got so many videos on YouTube with tapping scripts that you can join him doing the tapping with. Okay, so but for me, in my own toolkit, this is one of the most powerful practices that I have to really release things. However, I do notice as well that I'm often resistant to doing it, because it takes me into a confrontation with what I'm feeling, and not everything that I'm feeling is pretty. Okay, so that is definitely something sometimes you have to bring yourself to do it. But I would say use it, play with it. It can be just a couple of seconds of doing this, and it does bring so much relief, okay, and soothing. It brings us into a space where things have been released, and we're much more open to coming back to center, to being more harmonious, more available to what is happening to us, more able to be that eye in the center of the storm. And what's also important is that it brings us back to a place of center from which we can start to tap back into our positive and hopeful outlook for the world. So all of my work is always about do what is needed for you right now in this moment to create space for yourself, right? To take yourself through practices that give you what you need emotionally or physically. And then also always come back to that space from which you can do your powerful envisioning practices, from which you can tap back into your own sense of hope and optimism and positive outlook on things, okay? So Paula says, we bring to the surface what was inside that we carried in our subconscious. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah. And the name of the technique is EFT. So if you type on Google, if you type in tapping, or if you type in EFT, that is what you're going to be finding a lot of resources about, okay? So yeah, thank you for joining me live. And for anyone watching the replay, if you have any comments, any questions, feel free to leave me a comment or to reach out to me via DM. And our next session will be on Friday, the same time. So if you can join me live, if you're in a time zone where you can join me live, please do so, because it's so much fun just, being together in these times, having a sense of connection, being able to talk to one another. So I will see you then again Friday at 11 a.m. Brussels time. And Paolo, thank you so much for joining me live. If you have any questions after this, feel free to message me, okay? So have an amazing day, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye. EFT, yeah, that's it. EFT, absolutely. So bye.